All right, we are following breaking news right now out of Orlando, where authorities are getting ready to speak in a news conference about an alligator attack on a little boy from Nebraska. Let's listen in.
Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for being here. We want to share some updates with you regarding this particular operation. This is a tough situation. I want all of you to think about this for a moment. Those of you who have children or grandchildren or what have you. I just happen to have a 2-year-old grandson, and so for me, this is a very human experience that we're talking about, where we're dealing with this family now who, there's no question, will lose a 2-year-old child. It has been now about 15 hours since the child was taken into the water by the alligator. We are working on recovering the body of the child at this point. And so on behalf of everyone that is engaged in this effort, our ultimate goal is to try to bring some closure to the family by recovering their loved one. We have in excess of 50 personnel from the Orange County Sheriff's Office alone that is working on this recovery effort. We're going to be here throughout, but we're also concurrently doing this investigation along with FWC. Their executive director has traveled here from Tallahassee. Mr. Nick Wiley is here, and he will be speaking to you momentarily. I have received phone calls from the governor of the state of Florida, Rick Scott, about this effort, the mayor of our county, and we have also spoken with various Disney executives. I would tell you that Disney is doing everything that they can to make the family comfortable during this ordeal. As we have been dealing with this tragedy for the last few hours, I would tell you that it is somewhat of a complicated operation that we have going, because this is a man-made body of water. It is a sizable body of water, and it has certain systems built in the waterway. My divers have been in the water today, and at an appropriate time, they may be back in the water. We have our marine units out on the lake. They're using sonar equipment to see if they can locate the body as well. In addition to that, I'm going to ask, again, the executive director for FWC to come up and share with you some of the things that they're doing with this concurrent operation. Mr. Nick Wiley.
Thank you, Sheriff. First, let me say that the cooperation and support from the Orange County Sheriff's Department has been amazing. They have been here and really doing everything in their power. We have provided support. We have vessels on the scene with people out on the water. We have about a dozen officers, and we also have brought in some experienced alligator trappers who know how to go out and find alligators. Again, I think you know that there's no real update on what we found so far. We're still going as hard as we can, and we're still hopeful that we'll be able to help this family find closure. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with this family. Also, Governor Scott called me also this morning to express his concerns and express his sympathies for this family as well. And he's very much engaged in this process as we go forward. That's all I have.
What are the odds of this happening?
What I can tell you is that Disney has operated here now for 45 years, and they've never had this type of thing happen before. Remember, it is Florida, and alligators are indigenous to this region of the country. But I want to reiterate that Disney has a wildlife management system that is in place, and they have worked diligently to ensure that their guests are not unduly exposed to the wildlife here in this area.
Sure.
Mr. Wiley, talk about the regulation. Is there any regulation that involves alligators on the field?
Well, we're 15 hours in, and there were eyewitnesses here who certainly saw the child taken under the water and what have you. We know that that happened. and it certainly is not survivable at this point for him to have been submerged for this period of time. So we know that this is a recovery effort at this point.
Sheriff, can you tell us what type of precautions are being taken by Disney with this alligator still out there?
Well, I can tell you that this is certainly very concerning to Disney. You all are very aware that Disney made a decision to close their other beach-type properties, and I believe that that's 9 different properties in terms of the beach at the different resort areas. And that was done with an abundance of caution to ensure that we can continue our operation without the interference of other watercraft that may be out on the waterways, and also to make certain that other guests are not unduly exposed to something.
What is the likelihood that you're protocol in place that requires Disney or anyone really with leaders in this where are they?
I'll say the question here is in terms of the wildlife management, if you will. Disney has full-time staff that works with FWC, and so I'm going to ask the executive director from FWC to kind of fill you in on how they work with Disney in that regard.
Disney has been very proactive with regard to dealing with alligators and having, as the sheriff said, full-time staff observing these waters. They have essentially an open system permit where anytime they see an alligator or a complaint is called in, that it can be taken out. And these alligators are not relocated. These alligators have to be euthanized because when they become a problem, that if you move them somewhere, you're just moving a problem. So Disney does everything by the book, and they have an amazing program for keeping track of and monitoring and then addressing any concerns that arise.
How many gators have been euthanized today? When is the last time that happened? When's the last time that happened where they actually went in?
They've taken out, routinely take out alligators in the lakes in the property at large. But I don't know, I haven't heard of any taken out recently, but they have taken alligators out.
Another property has
warning about alligators.
they were chased by an alligator just a few weeks ago over the same stretch of water. Can you tell us any more about that?
I'm not aware of that report.
There was no report made to the Orange County Sheriff's Office regarding a family in this area.
Signage or anything that warned guests about there being alligators there?
In terms of signage, there's signage in this immediate area that says no swimming allowed, essentially. That's the signage that is available in this area and the other resort areas at this time.
How long will you search? How long will this go on?
The question is, how long will we continue to search? We're going to continue to search until we find the body. Hopefully that will be today, but if it has to extend beyond that, we will do that as well.
How many
at this point?
Is there anything being done?
Any underwater fences in that lake to prevent the alligators from getting in from the waterways or whatnot?
Well, I'm not aware of any fencing or structures, but it wouldn't have been effective. Alligators can move across the land and under the water, so fencing is just not a feasible option.
What's that number out right now?
Since alligators can migrate to that area, why is there those type of signs? Just as a wildlife division tell us, if they can migrate there, why are there?
Well, I'm not assuming there's no signage. It's still early in this process, and we're still working.
Mr. Wiley, last time we spoke, what's that number out right now? Have you located any more gators?
One more alligator's been found without any additional.
You come here every year. What you do the one modification in security here.
What, I guess the question is, what do we do to improve security? Again, Disney has a very active wildlife management system that is designed to remove any potential threats. What we're going to do also in terms of giving you another update, we anticipate that there will be another briefing at somewhere around 6 p.m. today, if not before. If there's new developments, we'll do it before then. At that time, we will likely also identify the family that is involved. We are being sensitive to the needs of the family in terms of them being allowed to notify their other family members. We do not want them to hear or read about it from the media, if you will.
Mr.
So
Wiley,
we'll do
Mr.
that
Wiley,
at that time.
can you address tourists and coming close to gators and how they become so comfortable around people, especially if they're fed?
Absolutely. The question about as you interact with alligators, if they're fed, what does that mean? It really means that the alligators can lose their fear of people, and that's against the law in Florida. And we have a lot of information. If you go to myfwc.com, we have information about alligators and how to be safe around alligators. The story here is this is a tragedy and it's terrible, but it's a rare occurrence. And fortunately, it doesn't happen that often, and we are doing everything we can to make sure it doesn't ever happen again.
Do you think that happened here? Do you think this was a gator that had been fed and had been around people?
It's really too early to speculate. I'd hate to go there because there's so many variables at play here. We just don't know.
Would you consider that this would be a safe place for alligators to be located?
Nick, can you talk about whether or not, I mean, this is a tourist area where children are playing all the time. Is this an area where we should have, children playing there, accessible when it's so close to gators like that? I mean, is this
by putting in white sand around to have alligators attracting children and families to come there?
Well, some of that we really can't get into now. There is an active investigation that is going on. The investigation itself is going to help us answer some of the questions that you've asked. What we're going to do at this time, for those of you who have Spanish-speaking media, we're going to transition to my media relations Captain Angelo Nieves, and he will be glad to respond to questions in Spanish. Captain Angelo Nieves.
What does that investigation entail? What is that investigation?
All right. Capitán, ¿quién es responsable? ¿Quién tiene cierta responsabilidad de lo que ha pasado?
Bueno, seguimos adelante para seguir nuestra investigación.
All right, you were watching live a news conference from Orlando, Florida, where the Orange County Sheriff's deputies was offering us a briefing on the search for a 2-year-old little boy that was the victim of an alligator attack. Now, here's what we know right now. An alligator at the resort came out of the lagoon at the Disney Grand Floridian Hotel and snatched that 2-year-old little boy, dragging him back into the water. Now, the Orange County Sheriff's Office in Orlando, Florida, says the father of that little boy tried to wrestle the alligator to free the child. That did not work. Now, they even turned to a nearby lifeguard for help. However, at this time, as you just heard, there is no sign of the boy. They have been searching for about 15 hours, and deputies say they have about 50 people working with their office as well as from the Florida Wildlife Commission in the effort to find this little boy. Now, they say they are doing everything possible to find the little boy, and they will again update us on that search a little bit later this afternoon. Now, we do know Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts has also issued a statement this afternoon saying his thoughts and prayers are with the family as they search for this missing 2-year-old. Okay, stay with KMTV Action 3 News. We have a crew heading to Florida, and we are following this story. We will bring you the very latest coming up next at KMTV Action 3 News, live at midday.